Hello, everyone. Welcome and happy Thursday. Dr. Stacy Holweger here, Senior Presidential Director, joined by my beautiful co-host, Miss Marcy Preble, Senior Presidential Director, my amazing upline. Thank you all for being here this evening. We have two incredible testimonials. Marcy is going to be interviewing our two beautiful ladies up here that are going to share with you all in just a minute. But before we do, I would love to share our disclaimer. So this testimonial podcast tonight is about LifeWave's technology, how it works and how it can help you, and these personal experiences from these two ladies this evening. The information we're sharing is for informational purposes. It is not intended to treat, cure, prevent, or diagnose anything that's going on with you. If you have questions about your health or your medications or anything at all concerning yourself, please check with your healthcare practitioner. They will be able to assist you and be able to answer any of your questions. So with that, Marcy, I'm going to turn it over to you to interview these amazing ladies this evening.
I would love to. And we're going to start with Jody. And Jody, let's see, where are you, honey? Are you right there?
She said something happened and she lost us.
Oh, I thought so. So she's come, I'm sure she'll come right back in. So Jamie, why don't we start with you? So Jamie, why don't you let us know a little bit about what your life was like before these X39 stem cell activation patches, and how did you hear about them, and what's been going on with you now?
So I learned about the patches probably about a year before I actually started using them. Somebody introduced them to me and I literally didn't know what they were. She didn't give me like the full rundown of how they worked and what they did. And then a year later, a good friend of mine, Kate, she introduced them to me again, or reintroduced them to me again, and told me her story. And I was like, I have to try this, because I had really bad neck and shoulder pain on my right side for about 15 years. And that pain, I did everything: chiropractor, acupuncture, massage, cupping, CBD oils, like you name it, I was trying it. Nothing was getting rid of it. So I was like, I'm going to try these and see what happens. And I got the X39 and the Eon to start, and I put them on right away when I got them. And within a week, my pain was down about 50%. And then about 3 weeks in, I would say my pain was down to like 90 to 95% gone. I'm still like sitting in that 8 months later where my pain is like, it just kind of sits in that 90, but that's like an amazing place for me comparatively to where I was. I started noticing after the 3 weeks though, that my sleep and energy shifted in a huge way that I didn't even expect to see. I was not realizing that I wasn't like sleeping through the night. And if I did wake up, I would not be able to fall back asleep. And then I was able to actually fall back asleep. My energy shifted in the fact that I didn't have that like late afternoon lull that I would get with my kids. I could keep going in the afternoon, which was huge. And that piece just like continued to shift with me. I had a vertigo episode happen that I placed patches on certain spots that were recommended, and the vertigo, it was awful. The room was spinning. I mean, I was having a really hard time, and that vertigo went away in a matter of, I would say a couple hours. I was actually able to function again. The biggest shift that I did not expect to see, and has been the biggest blessing for me, has been my hormones. I had really, really, really bad cycles for 3 years, to the point where I didn't want to leave my house on the first couple days of getting my period because it was so bad. We'll save the details for another story, but it was awful. And I, about month 2, I decided to start trying the SP6 patch. And I was like, why not? Let's give it a shot. And so slowly, I noticed every single month my cycle would get a little bit less. It was normally a 10 to 12 day cycle, and it would get a little bit less and not as heavy, and a little bit less and not as heavy. And it became to the point where I now can go out of my house and not be worried about what could happen. I also had really bad varicose veins that happened on my one side of my legs. when I was pregnant with my first son, and they've just gotten worse and worse over the last 9 years. And I've noticed those have completely gone away. I've been putting the Alavita patch on, and leading into the Alavita patch, I was really not great to my skin when I was younger. I did a lot of tanning beds and baby oils and all the things that you try to do to become tan as a young girl. And I've noticed in the last month or so, my skin is finally starting to get back to that normal place that I've been waiting for it to have happen with these patches. So yeah, that's all of the things that I've noticed in the last 8 months of wearing these.
That's a lot of things. Like,
Yeah.
I had no idea. It's interesting. You're friends with someone, but you don't always know their issues. And I did not know that you struggled with your hormones and with that time of the month, and that you had, flow that was so heavy that you couldn't go out of the house. I mean, I can't even imagine that.
Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad.
And I guess I also think it's interesting. How long have you been on these now?
8 months.
8 months. And so you obviously, and you talked about SP6 and Dr. Stacy will talk more about, obviously the technologies for flow, and Alavita for skin, and of course X39. And you said 8 months now you're noticing that your skin is getting nicer. All the damage is getting better from I remember those tanning beds. For me, it was like the 80s, but and that took a little time on your skin. It sounds like you're starting to notice that now.
It's finally getting that regeneration process starting to happen. But I mean, it's taken 8 months where I'm finally starting to see that like pigmentation drop and all the things that I did to it. I mean, it was bad. I mean, and even like the wrinkles that started to form. I mean, I'm 41 years old, and all of a sudden I just like started noticing it in the last year or two with like when we would do family pictures. I was like, oh, there's some extra ones that I didn't notice. And it was just that overuse of sun damage and the tanning bed.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about what you do like for a living, like some of the fitness that you've been doing? I don't know, do you wear X49, and what's
Yep.
been happening with, tell us just a little bit about that side of you, the fitness side of you. People don't probably know that about you here.
Yeah, so I've been a personal trainer, yoga instructor for the last 20 years or so. And I definitely have been wearing the X49 for that reason alone, just because I've wanted that like muscle recovery to happen, and I wanted to be able to see that I could like enhance what I've been doing in the gym. And I've actually been doing a little New Year's challenge for myself to be able to do a certain rhythm and rhyme to it all. And I'll continue to keep you posted on how that goes. But it's amazing what I'm able to do. My flexibility has gotten so much better because my recovery time has gotten better. So I'm able to get into some of the postures that I've never been able to get into because my muscles aren't as tight and they're not holding on to things like they used to. So that piece has helped. And then because of the inflammation coming down in my shoulder, I've been able to do things that I haven't been able to do in a year, or I mean years, because I was scared. If I lifted something wrong, it was gonna make it so I couldn't sleep at night, and I didn't feel good because I was in that situation. I was having a hard time lifting my youngest son out of his crib sometimes because of my shoulder.
Wow. Well, talk about coming a long way, Jamie. I am so glad that Kate actually explained the technology to you.
I know.
So let's go ahead, and I believe Jody is back. Jody, are you there? Can you
Yes,
unmute?
I am. Sorry
Okay.
about that. Technical difficulties.
So I know you're Jamie's friend, and I would just love to know a little bit about you and what you do. And then what was going on in your life? How did you find X39, and what's happening now? What's your story?
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a very long story. It is a very interesting story, and I'm going to condense it and keep it really concise for you, and definitely allow for questions if you want to go more in depth on any one thing. My background is in fitness. I've been in the fitness industry as an exercise physiologist first, and then as a personal trainer second for over 25 years now. That feels like a whole lifetime, but Jamie and I met actually as personal trainers together. And so I've been a personal trainer for 25 years. I am a Pilates instructor and education certifier. I own a gym with my husband. I coach high school gymnastics. And I'm an extremely active person. As you can imagine, with owning a gym and being a trainer, I'm on my feet and moving all the time. I work with a number of companies for virtual fitness as a contractor for them. So my job, my livelihood requires that I'm physically not only active and upright, but capable. Spotting high school gymnasts, some of them are my size or bigger, being able to spot them on their floor tumbling is, crucial. And I love that I'm active. I think having a healthy, active lifestyle is a gift, a blessing. As a human being, we're made to move, and I never ever want to be in the kind of pain I was in over the last 2 years ever again. Spoiler alert, it's because of these patches that I'm able to physically function. And Jamie sent me messages and shared the patches and tried to share the science with me for a long time. But I'm gonna go back a step before I get too far on the path of the patches. I had an injury 2.5 years ago. It was the fall 2 years ago. Nothing specifically happened. As you can imagine, I've been so active my whole life. I was a gymnast in high school. I played college tennis. I have beat up my body, so to speak, right? In a good and healthy way, in a way that I find healthy. But 2 years ago, I was teaching a group fitness class, and I just had to stop. I couldn't physically move, and then I tried to keep going, and I couldn't jump, and everything just like seized up and hurt. You could call it an acute injury, like something happened, but really, I think it was more overuse of just my physical body. Can you guys hear me? Okay, my computer's doing some funky things. Okay, so I spent a lot. Are you sure you can still hear me? Okay.
We can totally hear you. You're doing.
I'm gonna ignore what my computer's doing. Then I'm just gonna
You're
talk.
doing great.
Perfect. I'm gonna call it a flare up of an injury we're gonna call it herniated discs, which everyone probably has, whether they're symptomatic or not, varies. And over the course of 2 years, I worked with 3 different physical therapists, 2 different chiropractors, an acupuncturist, and I had the privilege of working with a Native American woman where we did a sweat lodge. I went and did an actual sweat with her. It was amazing. Over the course of that time, I would get a little better and then go right back to where I was. A little better, go right back to where I was. It was never really, the things I was doing was never really healing it. Throughout that time, I was told either, yes, you should get an MRI, or no, you shouldn't, because we already know what's happening. We already know it's herniated discs. You're not going to see anything different in the MRI. So I didn't, which I don't think I'd treat it any differently had I had an MRI or not. When you're in pain and you're used to being active, those of you listening, that when you have an injury or you're in pain, or someone you love is in pain to the point that they can't function, it's life altering, especially when it affected my job and I couldn't walk. There was a month where I couldn't physically walk and I couldn't stand up. So if you're familiar with rubber bands, right? Well, there's something called it's from a Rogue. It's called Rogue brand. It's a band that's about this wide. Let's call it 4 or 5 inches wide. A long rubber band that's not round or looped, but it's flat and long. I would wrap that around my pelvis and my torso to create a transverse abdominis and decompress my discs so that I could stand, so that I could continue working. My job as a trainer requires that if I'm not working, I'm not making money. So I'd wrap this rubber band around my torso, put my clothes over the top of it, and just suck it up. Now, I don't tend to take things. I probably could have taken some anti-inflammatory, some Advil or something, and I didn't. I was doing rehab work, core stabilization exercises. I would ice my back. As I mentioned already, I was at physical therapy and chiropractic, and I'd work with someone for 6 to 8 plus months and really give it a good try. And everyone had different opinions on what I needed. I started to think that I just need to find a different career. Like I can't live this way anymore. I always joke where like, okay, I can't do an active job. I need to be an accountant. I just need to sit at a desk and and those that know me, I hope are laughing because they're like, there's no way Jody, crazy, busy, physical Jody is ever going to be an accountant because I can't sit still for long enough to actually do that. And I didn't want to do that, but I felt as though something had to change, something had to really give because most of the days I was in tears and I thought I was hiding it from clients. Like, I'm fine, I'm fine. I would have to hold my legs in order to bend forward. I would support myself on a counter in order to pick something up. And, you know, when you're in the thick of something, you don't realize how bad it's gotten until you look back and it's like, oh, I used to be able to, you know, run 6 miles a day. I'd have 20,000 plus steps on my watch. And I saw that dwindling down. I saw my overall activity really dwindling down. So fast forward to, a month and a half, not even, that I've been using these patches. There was one thing that happened that made me call Jamie and be like, okay, let me learn more about these patches. I want the science about these. I had what I would call a flare up where I was on my back for 2 days, couldn't walk, couldn't stand. I was right back to where I was a year and a half ago. And I ended up scheduling an MRI. And in between the time that I had the MRI and got the results and had my first appointment with the surgeon, I'd started using the patches. And this is important to the story because in the MRI, I learned that I had 4 herniated discs, 3 annular tears, and 2 modic tears. And modic tears are essentially fractures within the end plates of your bones between the 2 vertebrae. So above the discs and before the vertebrae itself, the end plates. So I'm like, oh, that explains a lot. And the surgeon said, this is why you're in such pain. There's no amount of core strength. There's no amount of icing. There's no amount of physical therapy right now that's going to make this pain go away. Your only option is surgery. We're going to start with a cortisone injection, but then you're going to need to have back surgery. And I had this MRI, started using the patches. I use the X39 on my C7 and Ion. Am I saying that right? AE?
Eon.
Eon, thank you. Eon at the point of most pain, which is my L5S1, my SI joint. And by the time I had my appointment with the surgeon and the physician's assistant that spoke with me, I'm sitting at the desk like, I'm actually good now, guys. I'm fine. And they're like, well, no, you have like 2 fractures in your back. Are you sure? I'm like, I think I'm good. Like, I don't even really know why I'm here. And they're kind of like, she's a crazy person. And they have me stand up and they have me do all these tests, like flexing, twisting, standing. I'm like, that doesn't hurt. I mean, maybe it'll hurt tomorrow, but it doesn't hurt right now. And I said, but I'm using these patches. And the surgeon said, well, you know, placebo effect, but it's going to hurt again once that wears off for you. It's been a month and I continue to feel better. I continue to live pain-free. I went for a 4-mile run on Sunday. And when you have fractures in your spine and herniated discs, it sounds insane to do that. I spot my gymnast. I'm in the middle of gymnastics season. And it's changed my life, to put it mildly. Like, and I can't imagine not having these because I'd be in a hospital bed for sure, and I'd be having back surgery right now.
So I just wanted to understand, Jody, you've been wearing X39 and Eon for 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And you basically go to have your consult for your surgery and you're moving all around and you go, I don't really need it anymore. And you walk out.
Yeah.
And that is insane.
Actually, I called there recently. I said, so you have this order for me to have a cortisone injection first. And then if that doesn't work, you want to do this surgery where they go in and they essentially burn the nerve. They just kill it. I mean, I don't know if there's long-term effects to that, but it sounds kind of like there could be. And I said, well, I actually have these patches right now, so I'm good. I don't think I need it, but how long does that order last? Like 6 months, a year? And I said, just in case, right? If this thing doesn't work out, right? But it just makes me laugh because a cortisone injection, I'm self-employed, TMI for you guys, but as a self-employed person, I'm also self-insured. One cortisone injection would cost me $1,900. Do the math on that, $1,900. Now, I would submit it to an insurance company and they would cover X, Y, or Z. The surgery itself is $12,000. Okay. So outside of missed work, where I don't get paid and don't make any money if I don't work, and the cost of doing that, the cost of these, like, hello, it's a cup of coffee a day, maybe, versus
I
thousands,
think you picked well, Jody.
right? So
Thank you. Yep. And thank you for sharing your story. And we're going to go ahead and move to Dr. Stacy now, and she's going to come and explain to everybody why in 6 weeks Jody's not going, she's moving in the chair like no big deal and doing a 4-mile run. I mean, you got your life back, Jody. I'm so glad you said yes to Jamie. And we're going to move now to Dr. Stacy.
Woo! Wow. You know, it never ceases to amaze me. Every week I come on here and I hear 2 new testimonials now, 2.5 years later, and it's like every time the things our body actually goes through and deals with on a daily basis. It's just mind-blowing to me. And this patch, you put this patch on the body and change happens. Let's talk about how that can be so different for so many people. If you're a guest tonight, maybe this is the first time you've ever heard about LifeWave's technology, and you want to know, how is this even possible? It sounds way too good to be true. If you've been on for a while, you've been using the patches, and you're just jumping on to learn a little bit more, and you're going, whoo, I've got one just like that, or I've got one very similar, or you're thinking, man, if it works for that, it's got to work for my issues that are nothing compared to what these ladies have been dealing with, right? So how is that? Well, this is a non-transdermal patch. This patch doesn't put anything in your body, no medicine, no chemical, no nutrient, no substance. As you heard Jody say, it's super affordable compared to injections. And obviously this is non-invasive, right? We're not injecting anything in the body. We're not cutting. We're not doing any surgery or anything like that. Price of a cup of coffee a day. This is a wearable light technology, meaning that it works with our body's light. And this patch that David Schmidt has invented has this incredible crystal lattice structure inside of it that is reflective. So it is only reflecting our body's own light back into us in a very specific wavelength. How is that even possible? It's called photobiomodulation or phototherapy. Light creating change in the body, okay? And so when I get up in the morning, I put this patch on. I can put it on the back of my neck, CV7. I can put it below my belly button. I can stick it right here. I can put it underneath, my big toe. It does not matter. The key is to put it on the body. In the morning when you get up, you're brushing your teeth, okay? You leave it on 12 hours. During that 12 hours, what happens is it immediately, your light hits this patch, reflects back that wavelength. It elevates a peptide. A peptide, I don't know if you've heard of those or not, they're proteins, chains of amino acids. They're the building blocks of your body. But it elevates a very specific peptide in your body. That peptide is called GHKCU copper peptide. Now, it does a lot. We do not have that much time to go into this. We're going to take a little bit deeper dive here at 9:30 into the science and tech. But get this book if you don't have it yet by Dr. John Harmon. He is in our organization, and he took 50 years of research and studies in the benefits of GHK and condensed it into one very simple and easy to read and understand book. But in a nutshell, when we elevate GHK, which we call it the fountain of youth, because of what it does for our skin, our lines, our wrinkles, our spots, all that kind of stuff, right? Keeps us young and youthful on the inside. GHK is also responsible for many other benefits, cardiovascular benefits, neurological benefits, pain reduction. You heard that, right? Reducing inflammation, helping circulation, oxygenation. It's great for recovery, fitness, athletics. It's fantastic for so many things. But let's talk real quickly here about the really nuts and bolts. And that is that GHK resets a third of your genes back to their young, youthful, healthy, perfect state. One of those genes is responsible for activating, elevating, mobilizing your own stem cells. You had an abundance of stem cells when you were young. That's why you were young and youthful. You had boundless amounts of energy. Go, 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 nonstop, right? Sleep like a baby at the drop of a hat. Riding your bike, fall off your bike, break your bone, get up and take off running. Like you never missed a beat when you were a kid. Those stem cells were always working to repair your body. That's why 5-year-olds don't have gray hair and 10-year-olds don't have back pain, right? Johnny falls off his bike, he's fine. Grandma falls out of bed, she's probably not getting back up again. Let's be honest. And that's because her body's ability to repair and regenerate is greatly diminished as she's aged. So lots of stem cells when you're young. As we age, we have less and less, about half when you're in your 30s, less than 10% in your 60s. David Schmidt has figured out how to activate and elevate this peptide with a wavelength of light that's non-invasive, that elevates activates your own stem cells. Your body knows how to heal itself. It knows what order to do that. We call this smart technology. And so you put this patch on, you leave it on 12 hours, your stem cells start to go wherever's needed, in whatever order is needed. Now, for Jody, you heard great changes physically in her back, right? Very quickly. Wow, that's incredible. But you may not have those same exact results in that time frame. Your body may say, I'm sorry, honey, you've had way too much wine. We're going to have to go right for that liver and detox that baby first and repair it. Or you may have been a smoker and your body says, whew, we got to repair those lungs first. That's the most important area. Your body knows where to go first. Your stem cells know where to go first. The deal is we got to be patient with the process. We only have time anyways. You're either going to get older or you're going to get younger. The longer you patch, the younger you get. It's called age reversal. So not only do we see that compound effect over time, 1 month for every decade you are old, that's your starting point to wake up all your dormant stem cells. But we see changes continuing to happen as you continue to patch. We see not only the pain reduction and the sleep and the energy and all that stuff, we start to see the reversal and the functionality of your organs, of your systems, of your cells. Now, we're not claiming to treat or cure any disease. We don't study any diseases at all, but we have over 90 clinical studies. We want you to go to startx39now.com. We would love for you to check out those clinical studies, research the patents that we have. David holds over 150 patents himself. And we can tell you 100% with certainty that there are zero contraindications, side effects, or interactions to using this technology because, again, nothing is entering the body. So please get back with a person that invited you. They're going to help you get set up with the patches that work best for you. We have incredible wholesale pricing, and they can help you get set up with that as well, too. And we look forward to hearing from you on a testimonial patching podcast very soon so we can hear your personal story, your experience with using these patches, and how your life has changed, too, over the course of the next weeks and months and even years. I've been patching 2.5 years. Marcy's been patching 4.5 years. Why? Because our bodies are young and youthful. We are preventing disease. We are preventing those top 5. And we want you to be in that club with us as well, too. So thank you all for being here this evening. Get back with that person that invited you. And we look forward to seeing you at our patching podcast tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern.